Hi, everybody. This is Jerry Serino with From the Median podcast. Thank you so much for joining me as always. Please go to fromthemedian.org to connect with us and check out all of our previous episodes, and love to hear from you too. And that's the best way to do it. Also, follow us on all the different podcast apps that are out there from the Median, and social media as well. Just search Cleveland Right to Life. I'm joined today by author Faith Ann Dalton. She's here to talk to us about all that she's doing. I found her on social media, as I tend to find some really great people, and Faith Ann is here to talk to us. Faith Ann, thanks for coming on.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And you can just call me Faith. Faith Ann is my professional.
Okay. Well, I like to be super professional, even though I'm really not professional. I'm just a guy who wears shorts and t-shirts. But okay, we'll go with Faith. Although Faith Ann is a very pretty name
Thank
altogether.
you.
Okay, so Faith, sorry, I got to get
It's
used
okay.
to it. Faith, tell me a little bit about yourself. We'll get into your book. You're the author of a book called "In This House We Lived," and there's a website. It's very pretty, very nice website, faithanddalton.com. So anyone could go there. I'll have this all on the website. But before we get into the book, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. Thank you for asking. I'm just I'm just a girl. I'm from Salem, Missouri originally. Grew up there, moved to Rolla, Missouri as an adult, lived there for about 10 years, and now I am a homeowner in St. James, Missouri with my husband and family. I um gosh, where do I even start? Um But like I said, I'm just a girl, and I have a story that I think is impactful because it's the story of a lot of women. A lot of women are facing things that I've faced, and sometimes we need a little help getting through it. And my story, I happened to get the help that I needed. And I know that
Mhm.
that help can be available to other women going through similar situations, which is actually fairly common.
Gotcha. So then that's the crux of your book, correct? That reviews that story. So um, obviously people can get the book. Again, it's called "In This House We Lived." You can get it on Amazon, and you could go to faithanddalton.com, and you could find out more about it there. But so tell us the story and what people can expect when they read the book.
Thank you. So I went through an unplanned pregnancy when I was single, young. I just turned 21. And I had a relationship that I thought was like my forever person. And when we became pregnant, he was less than thrilled and wanted me to have an abortion. And unfortunately, a lot of women face these kinds of situations and put in positions that they never thought they would be in. Maybe they have been pro choice but would never have an abortion themselves, or they want to be a mom, but they want to be a good mom, and that's got a certain image in their mind, and where they're at currently in their life does not match that. So they're like, if I can't do this right, maybe I shouldn't do this at all. That's
Hmm.
certainly some of the thoughts going through my mind at that time. And I went to a pregnancy resource center and got help. Uh, just honestly, a conversation, an honest conversation about my situation and what I wanted, and the circumstances around me affecting my decisions is what made a huge difference in the choices that I made.
And so obviously people can get the whole full breadth and depth of the story by reading the book. We can't do it here on this in the limited time we have here on the show. So what ultimately was the conclusion with you in this unplanned pregnancy with the father of the child?
Right. Things didn't end up going well with the relationship with my son's dad. We ultimately parted ways. Although throughout the pregnancy it was like back and forth, will they, won't they. It was really confusing. But I knew that I couldn't necessarily depend on him, and I had a lot of things going on with my family that didn't start there with the pregnancy. All of that started before the pregnancy. So I do go into some backstory of those relationships and why they were coming out the way that they were. And ultimately, I ended up deciding I didn't want to just choose life for my baby. I wanted to choose life for myself as well and create a different life than I had already known. So I moved into a maternity home that had just opened up the same year that I became pregnant in Rolla. And from that home, the change of environment, the life planning curriculum that was provided there, life coaching provided there. I graduated college, uh, got a chose life for my baby, um, graduated college. I got a job in my field of study with a 401k, and I became a baptized Christian through that. Um, and then I go on to tell more, launching from the home and plot twist that I wouldn't have expected, and
Hmm.
falling in love with my now husband. And you'd have to read the book to see, to
Yeah.
really know all the details. But that's
Yeah, that's the overview of it. No, I that's perfect as far as what to share. There's again, we have limited time here, and a book is so thick and it's fully detailed. Um, in this house we lived, it's called, and again, faithanddalton.com is where you can go if you want to see more, or you can go to Amazon and get it there as well. Um, so it does sound to me like you didn't have, obviously you didn't have support from the father. Did you also not have
right.
support from your family, meaning your parents, siblings, I don't know, aunts or
Mhm.
uncles? What was the situation like there?
My family's pretty fractured. I came from a divorced family, mental illness, substance abuse, um, and so they wanted me to keep my baby, but not for good intention. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Um, it just really tough. It's tough even now to talk through because it was traumatizing. I mean, not just the unplanned pregnancy and all the decisions I had to make around that, but the back history was traumatizing. So it's hard to talk about. But their actions and the intentions behind them wanting me to keep my baby um, made it even more so like I need to have an abortion.
Hmm.
And it very much complicated things. So I think there's a fine line. Um, there's a way to be pro-life where your actions and your words and everything all align with pro-life. And
Hmm.
then there's a way to be pro-life that's really life.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you did, again, you didn't have support from the father, didn't have support or a great family structure. You weren't. You said you became a baptized Christian, so I don't know if you had faith or
Mhm.
religion in your life at that time, but you ultimately chose life. You made a decision that was really, really, really difficult. That even staunch pro-life people might struggle with, or might kind of waver, briefly, even if they did hopefully choose life. Um, and you were 21 years old, not, hadn't completed your education yet. And like, you're like the poster child for the arguments that the pro-choice side gives, right? When they say, well, what about this? What about that? They could basically say, what about faith? Right. And say, what about her situation? She should have one. How do you think you made that very tough, mature choice?
Mm, that's a really good question. It the only thing that I can come down to is it was God. Um, Even though I wouldn't have named it God at the time, I can see now in reflection how his spirit was working and talking to me and guiding me through that whole thing.
Hmm.
And quite frankly, um, ministry behind Pregnancy Resource Center and the maternity home was very much the hands and feet of God right there, um, helping me, guiding me through that. But I didn't
Hmm.
feel like I was being guided or helped, if that makes sense. I felt like I was taking advantage of resources out there, not necessarily seeking out a hero. I was becoming the hero.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's such a great point about the pregnancy resource centers that give so much help to women and children in your situation. When often the accusation is, Faith, people will say, well, you pro-lifers, you only care about the baby until it's born, then you don't care. And I point out there's nothing further from the truth. As you're demonstrating, the pregnancy resource centers helped you immensely, right? So have you ever had anyone say to you or make a point similar to that about the reasons for being pro-choice, and how do you respond?
Uh, I have had someone say, you know, well, you had used drugs and you were not in a good position to keep your baby, and you want to keep that choice from someone else. And honestly, it's when you're in the situation, it doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like something you have to do to survive. And pregnancy centers make it give you give you a space to breathe, give you a opening to consider something else, without saying like you have to keep your baby. You got yourself into this situation. It's we're here with you in this. Like we see how hard it is.
Hmm.
We're hurting with you. You don't have to be alone in this.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good. I like that point. And how they help. They're not just saying, "Hey, tough Faith. What you can't kill a baby. You got to deal with it." And, they met you in a compassionate level and helped you.
Yes.
So I hope people hear that and can pass that along, because I mean, obviously, I'm presuming that 99.9% of people that listen to the show are pro-life, but using this type of information when a colleague, a friend, a neighbor says something about abortion, right? These are, I think, the benefits of
Mhm.
listening to a show, even though we're pro-life, is that you can take these stories and say to people, "Hey, I hear what you're saying, but let me tell you about this girl Faith and what she did." Right? So it's not as though it's impossible by any stretch. Hard, but so is life hard, I guess, right? I mean, so are you involved in pregnancy resource centers now at all?
Right. So after I got through my situation and got on my feet, and I was self sufficient and in a better place, that I had the resources myself, like the emotional capacity to turn
Hmm.
around and help someone else. I started working and actually volunteering at the Pregnancy Resource Center that helped me. And I
Wonderful.
was meeting with women who, just like me, had been considering abortion and didn't know where to go or who to trust or how to even come out and say, "Hey, I'm pregnant."
Yeah.
And I did that for. I started out volunteering. I worked there for a few months as a volunteer, and then I came on as hired staff, and did that for 5 years. And now I'm just transitioning after writing my story all out and publishing it and everything. I'm in a different season. So I'm looking at, just sharing my story on a broader spectrum, and like visiting here on this, like, this is a huge opportunity for me. This is my first podcast. So thank you for
Okay,
that
great.
so much.
Yeah, excellent. Well, you're yeah, the premiere of Faith Dalton. Love it. I love having you. This is really fantastic. And if you also want to follow Faith, as I did on social media, just just look for Faith and Dalton. Real simple and easy. No hyphens or anything. At Faith and Dalton, and you could follow her, and all the information is there. So you're now at a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Okay. Yes. Excellent. Go on all social media and find Faith and connect with her. We love doing that with great people. We want to support people's pages and their shows if they have them and the like. We have to get the word out there. Um, so in this stage in your life, you're obviously saying, okay, I found a good guy, I found a good husband, someone that is supportive. Tell me about your life now. I mean, how many kids you have, whatever you're willing to share, of course. And I am curious as to, at this stage, what your relationship is with the father of your baby. Again, if you're willing to share, you don't have to,
Right.
and with your family. For me.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, I just want to remind everyone that I'm a real person. Like, everything that I have is attainable. Like, you might be in a tough spot right now with housing and family and boyfriend and spiritually, but there is a way through this. And I think a lot of that has to just do with your age and developmentally where you're at in life. It's really okay to be exactly where you're at. Just want to start out with saying that.
Yeah.
But after choosing life for my baby, getting the dream job, getting the dream man,
Yeah.
and um, uh, getting my faith aligned uh, with my values and where I needed to be. Um, my husband and I ended up having 3 children together, in addition with my oldest, and those 3 children are all girls. So my oldest is Noah; he's almost 9. Then now I have an almost 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, and that all happened very fast.
Hmm.
And then we bought a house together because having um, having all these children really quickly, we needed a place where we could grow because we intend and hope to continue having children. However, we're hoping to have just a little bit of time between this child that we just had and the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and my husband has a really great job. He's very supportive of us, and he takes really good care of us and protects us and provides for us. Um, and just recently, in the last 2 weeks, this happened that I lost my childcare. So
Mm.
I am in a position where it's near impossible to find a childcare provider that has 3 open spots all at the same time. So I am working in a salon one day a week. I'm working behind the chair, and I'm staying mostly home with my children.
Hmm.
And my son, in relationship with his dad, has become better than I ever could have expected after the start that we had together. Um, he, we had a custody trial scheduled whenever Noah was 4. And instead of attending that trial, we got together with our lawyers and created a parenting plan that we both could agree on that was in the best interest of Noah. And we've been working from that parenting plan ever since. Currently, Noah is visiting with his dad for the summer, and he'll be back in a couple of weeks. And Noah is thriving. He's super smart, super athletic. He's he's just a really great kid, generous, kind, caring.
That's
I
fantastic.
think
Yeah.
that about sums up.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And then I had also asked about your family dynamics again, whatever you're
Mm.
willing to share. No
Um,
worries.
my family, I had to go no contact with them for a while. Things just got really toxic and really unhealthy. And there were a select few of my family members that I could still have relationships with, and that went really well. And we still have good relationships now. And it just took some time between me and others in my family. And even now, we are back in contact, but it's very, like, we're being very cautious with it.
Mhm.
Um, and that's really all the details I should probably go into.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. No, thank you for sharing even that. Families can be tough, and I applaud you for working towards, staying in touch and engaging with them because I'm sure the hope is always that they see you and what you've done and become, and that impacts them, right? That's one reason why we should never just write people off, right? And
yeah,
because we have to have hope that they come back,
right.
certainly, you know.
Yeah. Not, um, it's just like leading by example, becoming a very condensed version of the change you want to see in the world, and
Mhm.
hoping that that just spills out over onto others. But also having faith that God knows everything, and his grace is not only sufficient for you, but it's also sufficient for your loved ones. And there's a lot of forgiveness in that.
Yeah, there definitely is. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and again sharing your story. First and foremost, for writing the book that you wrote, so that people can, learn from your experience and story. For being involved in crisis pregnancy centers, pregnancy resource centers, and just doing all that you're doing. I'm really, really grateful and appreciative of you coming on the show.
I'm really grateful and appreciative of what you're doing, what the pregnancy centers are doing, what maternity homes are doing.
Hmm.
If it weren't for all these kinds of organizations that are just talking about choosing life for babies, and even in the most um, unprecedented situations, my story would not have been possible. So thank you so much for what you're doing. For yeah,
Yeah, you can't say enough about the pregnancy resource centers and all that they do. And I've had plenty of them on this show, so you know who you are, and hopefully all of you listening know who your centers are, and support them however you can. With a dollar, anything helps. Hopefully, it's more than a dollar, but just any kind of help is supportive because you see the impact it has on someone like Faith. Well, thank you again, Faith, for coming on the show. And thank all of you for listening to this episode of From the Median Podcast. I really appreciate you being here. We will see you next time.
thank you so much.